MMAnytt here down on the ground in Brooklyn, New York City. We just had two massive bits of news break in the last 10 minutes. So let's start off with Conor McGregor and Cian Cowley, who have just appeared in court here in Brooklyn on charges, of course, that were levied against them following the incident that took place at the Barclays Center yesterday. Of course, they had that one felony charge and the three misdemeanor counts in, I guess, in connection with that event, which took place in the bowels of the arena as the athletes were leaving the UFC 223 media day. So as Cian Cowley and Conor McGregor walked into the court today, both were handcuffed and then presented at the front of the court to the judge and were then, I guess, read all of the charges that were being held against them. Conor McGregor was read a bail of $50,000. Cian Cowley, that's $25,000. Now, there are some important kind of details to note here. The judge issues a protection order in favor of Michael Chiesa, Ozzy Arias, Ray Borg, Ricardo Chico, and on Cian Cowley. And then those same people were read exactly the same protection order against Conor McGregor. But there were a few more people. I think they were mostly UFC employees that were read off. So both Cowley and McGregor can have no contact with those people as the case is still open. As I just said, Conor McGregor bail $50,000, Cian Cowley $25,000. The case will be resumed on the date that was picked, which was June 14th. Both Conor McGregor and Cian Cowley were asked which date. They were presented with a few dates, and they specified that they'd like to return and actually, be there in person in front of the grand jury to testify on June 14th. The reason given, that they were cited sporting competitions and conflicts in their sporting calendars for competitions that meant they would have to be there on June 14th. So, it was it was a pretty sorry act to see, I guess, the biggest star in the sport there right in front of the judges in the courthouse in Brooklyn, and alongside him, 25-year-old, one of his teammates, straight brass Jim, Cian Cowley, a very talented guy who's, got himself involved in a very, very silly situation this week down here in Brooklyn. And there's nothing really much more to say than that. Both will walk free. Dylan Dennis, both their teammate and, of course, future Bellator fighter was there. And I believe, according to reports by Ariel Helani and my good friend Danny Austin, who were there at the courthouse, they actually reported that he was the one that actually paid the bail money. So Conor McGregor and Cian Cowley are now free to return. Their passports were not withheld, so they can travel internationally. So one would assume they'll now return to Ireland and be back on June 14th for this case to resume. Crazy set of circumstances. No one could have ever predicted it. But that for the minute at least, I guess is somewhat of a bit of closure on that case to be reopened on June 14th. Now, the second, of course, massive bit of news that broke just about 10 minutes ago was the fact that the new UFC 223 main event has been announced. It's going to be Khabib Nurmagomedov facing Al Iaquinta for the UFC lightweight title. Of course, we were all expecting first thing this morning Max Holloway to be facing Khabib. But unfortunately, the New York State Athletic Commission wouldn't let Max Holloway actually cut down to the 150-pound weight limit. I believe, according to Mike Bonner of MMA Junkie, he got down to 159 before one of the officials stepped in. Not actually the New York State Athletic Commission, but one of the officials on the New York State Athletic Commission said that he looked too unwell to proceed with a weight cut, and he was pulled from the fight. Very confusing set of circumstances, but then for a minute at least we thought maybe Anthony Pettis would step in. Anthony Pettis stepped on the scales with about 5 minutes left in the weigh-in window. He came in at 155.2 pounds, again over the weight limit. Paul Felder did make the lightweight title weight limit. He made 155 pounds. Al Iaquinta was the first man to weigh in, and like Pettis, he weighed in at 155.2. So then we had a melting pot. What was going to happen? We're led to believe that Anthony Pettis then asked to renegotiate the offer that was on the table for him to try and cut those extra 2 pounds down to 155. UFC did not want to proceed. So then afterwards, we then went to a case where Al Iaquinta is the new man to step up to face Khabib Nurmagomedov. That deal got done. We're yet to hear what will happen to Paul Felder on this card. We've yet to have any confirmation about that. But for the minute at least, we now know that the main event is Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Al Iaquinta. Only Khabib Nurmagomedov is able to actually win the UFC lightweight title. Of course, Al Iaquinta coming in at 155.2 pounds and is ineligible to win that title. It's going to be a 5-round main event. And that's all we have here. It's been one of the craziest 48 hours, I think, covering this sport. No doubt there'll be more updates to follow later in the day, but there are the two big news hitters. Cowley and McGregor have walked out the Brooklyn court. McGregor on a 50,000 bail, Cowley on a 25,000 bail, and now we have a new main event for UFC 223. So there we go. Let's see what else. Let's see what else will play out this week. For the minute, that's the latest from here in Brooklyn. I will no doubt catch up with you all very soon, and probably later this evening.